Hello and welcome to the W Show. I'm Sarah Ollie. Riley Beveridge and Sarah Black are back as they are every week. And our special guest from Melbourne, it's their forward, Eden Zanker. A big welcome to you, Eden, on the W Show.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
We'll get back to you and your Ds in just a little bit, but we're going to start off with some news. And Riley, Chelsea Randall is fresh off signing a new deal at the Crows, but more good news today and other players followed suit.
Yeah, they have. So Maddie Newman has also re-signed at Adelaide on a one-year deal. This is huge for the Crows because she had a lot of interest, particularly last year when she was coming out of contract. She had some very significant interest from Carlton and some offers from Carlton that made her think right the way through last year's trade period. I think that interest has been retained by clubs going into this year, but she's still elected to stay now. She signed a one-year deal for 2026. As you said, it follows the news that Chelsea Randall, as we reported earlier this week, has signed through until 2027. In terms of the Crows now, I think their biggest contract priority for the remainder of the season is Zoe Pearce. Now, she has some interest from Sydney and some pretty significant interest as well. The Crows yet to lock her away, but definitely getting a contract in front of Zoe Pearce is a priority for them now.
Some great news for the Crows. Now, Sarah, we know Jazz Garner. She's a superstar of the competition, but does she have supernatural healing powers too? What's going on there?
Yes, so Jazzy Garner, of course, with that ankle injury, it's described to me as the GOAT player and maybe the GOAT healer as well. She was down initially as a 2 to 4 week injury with that ankle, and she is all of a sudden a test after just 1 week out of the side. So, you know, it'll be a huge boost for the Roos if she does get up for that grand final rematch against the Lions. The issue is inflammation, so that's settled really quickly. Ankles can be funny, they can blow up, they can settle. So they've got their main training session today, right after we record. So I'm going to be heading down to Arden Street and doing a bit of Jazz Watch. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on that. So check out afl.com.au for any updates there.
You also have your eye on Emma King. What's going on there with the premiership ruck?
A little bit of a curious one. King, a long-term member of the leadership team, of course. She played in the scrimmages on the weekend, 100% game time. So she is fit and ready to go after overcoming an injury earlier this year. So we'll wait and see whether she gets selected, because if she doesn't, that's a selection issue, not an injury.
Big story if she's overlooked again. Now, Eden, over to you. We'd usually dive straight first into business on the field, but we want to start off the field today because I don't think I've ever met a groundskeeper before, but that is what you do when you're not starring for the Demons. Yeah. How does one get into groundskeeping? Tell us about it.
No, we're definitely a bit of a hidden breed, us groundskeepers. But yeah, a bit of a whirlwind story, really. Yeah, farming background obviously helps a lot. But yeah, the initial, I guess, paperwork around it come through the KCDs and then got forwarded onto Mick Stinnier, our senior coach. And yeah, he obviously had been out to Natcha before and checked out, out there. So yeah, obviously could see that I had similar interests and yeah, put it forth to me and everything just ticked boxes. So yeah, it's been great so far.
And for a layperson like myself, what exactly is involved in a groundskeeper's duties?
Yep.
I know you're up bright and early to get onto that park, and you've been looking after, in the off-season, you've been looking after Melbourne's training facilities too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's not just growing grass and making it look good. That's definitely a satisfying part of the job, but yeah, it's you know, putting sprays out, coring it, making sure it's aerated enough, making sure you know, the ground's at optimal performance for obviously athletes running around out there. So yeah, quite a bit involved. But yeah, it's a very satisfying job as well with, you know, putting all your patterns in there and especially during the spring and summer periods where everything's green and all the fauna is bright. So yeah, very satisfying job.
Talking about satisfying, it must be satisfying on field as well at the moment. 4-0 to start the year. You've got the Port Adelaide Power this weekend.
Yep.
You must be wrapped with how the first month of the year's gone.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you've got wins on the board, it's, yeah, obviously, I guess, better than losing. But yeah, our team's in a really good space at the moment. And yeah, we're really looking forward to coming up against the team we haven't versed in the AFLW in Port. So yeah, very excited.
It's been great to see the Ds get back to their best, in that run and gun game style that we love, the quick handballs. Yeah. But it hasn't all gone quite to plan on the field. Yeah. Last year, you guys were so decimated by injuries. And this year, you know, we were looking forward to a fully fit Melbourne hitting the field, and you're good to go. Yep. Unfortunately, some of your teammates are in a trickier situation. Same number of injuries this year as last year, but you're winning. Yep. What's changed?
Yeah, well, we're certainly not unfamiliar with the injury side of things. But yeah, we've obviously got a great deal of depth in our side, and I guess a lot more awareness around the injury space as well. So yeah, the girls coming in like Molly, Mags, even Layla Ebert, like we've got such great depth in our side coming through now. So yeah, that certainly helps on the injury front. And you know, as soon as the girls pull on that D's jumper, they've got a position and a role to fulfil, and yeah, they definitely know that. So as soon as they walk on in the field, they've got a role that they need to do.
So Port Adelaide at Alberton Oval on Saturday afternoon. You just mentioned this is a team you've never faced before, which is such a curiosity of the AFLW 10 seasons in. I know it's just the third season for the Power, but strip it back, take it back to basics. How do you prepare for a team that you've never faced, and which players in particular do you have circled as ones to watch?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've come up against them in a pracky match, so we got a little bit of an insight and taste of what they've got to bring to the competition. But yeah, we talk about players, and obviously Scholes plays a massive part in their team, and she's one that really drives the team as well. So yeah, she has a massive impact around the ground, getting forward, being dangerous as a forward as well. So trying to minimise her impact on the game is going to be... We're not going to focus a lot on it. We're still going to stick to our game plan and our game style. But yeah, minimising the impact where we can of Scholes. And then yeah, obviously going forward, they've got Gemma Houghton as well, who just wheels and goes. And I don't know, he's kind of unpredictable in a way, but yeah, super dangerous once she gets into that forward line. So little couple players that we'll keep an eye on, but we'll stick to our game style, and yeah, hopefully that works its way.
Looking forward to seeing that one on Saturday. Let's take a look at the rest of the round 5 fixture. You can see it there, 4 games on Saturday, but I am pumped for I think what we should be calling Super Sunday, because look at some of the matches there. We've got a grand final rematch, a derby to finish proceedings, and also Hawthorn and Adelaide, plenty on the line for that one too. But let's get to that grand final rematch, because this is going to be on for young and old. We know these two sides have so much pride. The Lions have been a little bit patchy, and North, well, they're asking who can beat us. Let's have a look at the changes from last year's deciders, because the complexion of the teams has changed a little bit slightly. Raz, my only question to you around this game is, has the league missed a trick?
Yeah.
Should this have been played on Thursday night, this evening, from when we're recording? It would have clean air. I'm hungry for football this evening. I'd be watching. Are they missing a trick here with this grand final rematch?
I'd have loved to see a bit of innovation in the fixture, given how the rivalry these two sides have built, which stemmed from that grand final last year. I reckon if you had to put it on the Thursday night, there's clearly no men's finals on the Thursday night going forward now. I think with a bit of clean air, it would have been maybe the most watched thing in town. So 5 games, as you mentioned, on the Sunday. This is in the middle of them. And as you mentioned, some really good games with the Derby as well, and Hawthorn Adelaide. So I would have loved to have seen this going forward. But Sarah, I know you're pretty strong on this in terms of what actually makes up a primetime fixture in AFLW and where the best game should be played.
It's a curious quirk of AFLW in that the highest, the broadcasters say their primetime spot for AFLW is actually Sunday afternoon, which goes against what we know about the men's season and everything like that. So that's why this one is down for that 3 p.m. time slot, and why the Lions and the Roos may have quite a few 3 p.m s this season. It's a bit of a chicken and the egg argument though, Riles.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, you know, if you put this on a Thursday night, I think the viewers will come.
Yep.
So, you know, you do have to be brave, make that call, put it on a Thursday night as standalone, and people will tune in, especially as they already know that Brisbane and North, like, you know, there's enough awareness now that those two are the premier sides.
One of the other big games on Super Sunday is at Icon Park. It's between Geelong and Richmond, and plenty of intrigue around whether or not Dan Lowther, the Cats coach, will select his skipper, Meg McDonald, who was given the axe last week.
She knows the areas of the game that she needs to get better at, and so do all of our players. And our job as a coaching staff is to make sure we're giving them a chance to improve in that space. And again, she's walking into that space now with eyes wide open around let's get back into business, which is what you want leadership to be like. And the way she supported the group today and during the week was outstanding. So, you know, I can see her getting back in the tent at some point, which is important. Yeah.
And she's a bigger woman than me, Meg McDonald, because the way she supported the group was, in fact, handing over the jumper to her replacement, Lexi Gregor, there. I mean, she's been replaced on the field, but clearly still a role to play there. When it comes to the Cats transitioning the captaincy, do you think that potentially Nina Morrison is the next one in line?
Yeah, I feel like the Cats may have missed a trick with this one. We spoke about it on the W Download, our podcast, last weekend, that Nina Morrison has been a captain in waiting for quite a few years now. She's well and truly over those injury concerns, her knees, touch wood, that she's good to go. We've seen a number of teams make that call coming into this season to make that captaincy change while the old captain is still around to provide some guidance. So Nina captained on the weekend against the Bombers. Her and Amy McDonald will continue to swap duties game by game as long as Meg McDonald is out of the side. The Cats are very firm that Meg is still captain of the squad. That was part of her duties, to hand over the jumper to Lexi, who is her replacement on the field. So, as you said, a bigger woman than you or I.
Now, you had, absolutely, in terms of height as well. You had a great story on afl.com.au this week regarding Zali Friswell. Now, guys, look away if you're a little bit squirmish, because some of these images and videos, they are a bit full on. This was surgery, said, that she had in the off-season for sleep apnea. Tell us a little bit more.
So a 3-hour operation for Zali. She had double jaw, both sides of her jaw, her chin and her nose all shifted around in order to increase her airways. Now, this obviously isn't just a football decision. This is a life decision. Poor Zali was having between 4 or 6 hours sleep, and really poor quality sleep, waking up in the middle of the night gasping for air. And that surgery has helped alleviate a lot of those issues. She still has some sleep apnea. It doesn't fix everything. It's a bit of a genetic issue for her. But she was saying she wasn't even getting enough oxygen when she was running.
Wow.
So, she's one of the best runners at the Cats already. So I can't wait to see the second half of the year and how Zali's going to thrive.
She's a good sport, isn't she, with the thumbs up? Would you have posted that online, Eden, if that was you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the Cats, they do come up against the Tigers, who are at 0-4. Riles, nothing appears to be going right for this side. And the run is getting even tougher, as you can see there. Yeah,
it's a tricky run coming up for them, 0-4. You struggle to see where their next win's coming from. I think the pressure's being heaped on the Tigers at the moment as well, internally as well. We had Ali McKenzie on the show last week who said they knew that their first month of the season wasn't good enough, and it's only going to get more difficult from here.
From one winless team to another, and that's the Giants, who come up against the Western Bulldogs this weekend. Riles, you've got some serious concerns around this club.
I do. I think, though, internally there's a feel that the Giants are getting better. They believe they're competing to a high level, but just not executing at the moment. I think that was the case on the weekend against Gold Coast, where they were +7 for inside 50s, but still lost by 4 goals. Now, they came into the year knowing they were going to be young. They were expecting to blood around 5 or 6 new faces into their best team right from the outset of the year. And then on top of that, I think they've had Pepper Randall, that's announced her retirement in April. They had Haneen Zarika announce that she's pregnant in June. They had Chloe Dalton announce that she's retired later in that month in June as well. So on top of that, they've then had to blood in 3 more young players. They've then had Elise Parker go down in round 1. Alicia Eva's gone down with the hamstring as well. So where they might have been expecting to blood in 5 or 6 new players this year, it's actually become 8, 9, 10 new players into this side. I think that's where their struggles, they think, are coming from. The depth just isn't there for them right now.
So what do they do? What's next? Because in the men's competition, we're hearing that West Coast, who only won 1 game this season, are going to ask for assistance. Yeah. Is that something that might happen here with the Giants?
I'd be staggered now if the Giants didn't ask for AFL assistance at the end of the year to help this rebuild. This is a club that's never won 3 consecutive games in a row. I think their submission to the AFL as well would centre around that the continued list growth has had disadvantages, in the sense that when the most recent expansion sides came in over the last couple of years, they lost a very talented academy player in Cynthia Hamilton to the Swans, given Sydney's draft access through that concession process. They then lost another academy player in Ali Morford, who, given the AFL at the time only gave out 1-year contracts to draftees, was eligible to look around at the end of her first year at the Giants. So I think there's an issue there, in the sense that they're saying 2 academy players that we've nurtured right through the way throughout the process have been lost to other clubs as part of this expansion. I think I need to be really clear on this as well, that the rationalisation of the Giants' issues at the moment they've somehow been misconstrued into that being Sydney's fault. It's not Sydney's fault. Sydney's had nothing to do with this. It's not Scott Gowns' fault. It's nothing to do with that. It's the fact that the Giants have just said, look, we've already had some issues, and they've been compounded by expansion sides coming into this. It's a completely Giants-led issue. I also think, though, there's a question around talent against development. And I think when you look at the best sides in the competition, and I look at North Melbourne at the moment as the best side in the competition, Ash Riddell was someone that got overlooked in drafts. Jazz Garner was available to anyone in the competition. Amy Smith was the same. Eliza Shannon was the same. They've developed these players better than anyone. I think you need to get the program right before you then can blame other things as part of it. And I think there's been a bit of a, as you said before, Sarah, a bit of a chicken and egg there in terms of what actually is contributing to the Giants' woes at the moment.
If you do get things right, things can change very quickly though, and I think the 3-1 Blues are a great example of this. They're playing a really fun brand of footy, and some Irish stars, Riles, they're leading the charge.
They certainly are, Dana Finn and Aaron Fitzpatrick. I want to start by talking about Dana Finn because I think at the moment she'd probably be leading Carlton's best and fairest given how good she's been right through the first month of the season, particularly in the last couple of weeks. She's an incredible story as well in the sense that at the end of last season she was uncontracted and exploring her opportunities around the competition. And I think rival clubs thought that she was available to basically anyone who was serious about taking her. Now, ultimately, Carlton managed to come to the party, offered her a bit more money. She stayed in a 2-year deal. And what a win it's proving for the Blues at the moment because she was fantastic again on the weekend with a career high 31 disposals. She didn't come from a Gaelic background either. She came from a basketball background.
Huh.
Carlton went over to Ireland and scouted her as an athletic profile, came back and she's had such a good career in footy as well. She did play a little bit of Gaelic footy. Aaron Fitzpatrick, though, is another one that I want to talk about. You speak about Air Jordan. Forget about Air Jordan. I'm talking about Air Ronnie here because Ronnie has changed the way that Carlton has been able to play. I want to show you this goal from a couple of weeks ago. I've been waiting to show you this goal for a while. Have a look at this. She gets the ball on half back and dishes it out here. And then look at her here. We've got Coach Paint, comes up. You can see her highlighted there. Look at her turn on the Jets. Her speed is her biggest attribute. She goes there and no one can stay with her. No one stays in the frame of this television shot apart from Aaron Fitzpatrick. She goes back, she kicks the goal. If it hadn't have been for, I think it was Shearer in the same game, she's a goal of the year contender, and then of course Chloe Malloy on the weekend. I think that's a really underrated goal of the year contender.
Yeah, right.
She's been fantastic. She's been able to help change the way that Carlton's been able to play this year with her forward half speed.
Yeah.
I reckon she's been fantastic. She's my favourite player in the competition at the moment.
Just on Fitzpatrick, she was coming off that ACL, decided to stay in Australia.
Yeah.
She didn't go home to rehab. She stayed in Australia. She worked her butt off and is now a completely different athlete physically. So, you know, it just goes to show that hard work pays off. But Eden, you know well the impact that Irish players can have on the competition. You know, the D's have been a pioneer in this space. You know, what difference have they made to your team?
Oh, for sure. Number one, they're just the utmost professional athletes, but they also bring a charisma and joyful side of, obviously Gaelic, bringing a bit of Gaelic over as well. But we've obviously got Sinead, Amy, who hasn't come across just yet, and Blaheem, but just beautiful people. And then, obviously their versatility through Gaelic can also transfer onto a footy field as well. So, amazing people, but most of all, amazing athletes.
So we've got a month of footy in the books now. It means we've got a month worth of data. The holding the ball tweak, what have we learnt from the first month of AFLW Season 10?
Yeah, move over Gemma Bastiani, I've sourced my own facts, it's been an interesting first month, the holding the ball tweak. We were all a little bit curious as to how this would play out. So off the first week, there was sort of a decrease of stoppages down about a third on last year. That has maintained throughout this first month of footy, so that wasn't a flash in the pan. We're seeing fewer stoppages, we're seeing greater number of handballs around the contest. Players are getting more and more developed at clearing the space and getting the ball outside. The metres gained, that's not on the board, but metres gained has gone up 200 metres per match on average. So the ball is travelling a further distance and scoring's up a little bit. So we're seeing some really big scores from the top teams, and there's seeing some, I think the lower end has also lifted a little bit. Fewer low scores as well. So Eden, the holding the ball tweak, you guys used to it yet? It was a hot whistle to begin with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It is very hot out there, but I feel like the game's a lot more faster now, and you're getting a lot more looks like inside your 50, and like you said, a lot more scoring opportunities as well. So definitely, if you're not making an attempt to get that ball out, you're getting pinned. But I think it's good for the game. Keep the fluency going, and a lot more better looks, inside 50 for any given team.
Now, Sarah, you said move over Gemma Bastiani. Unfortunately, she ain't going anywhere. She's back this week with the deep dive, and the Western Derby is in focus.
The Eagles have absolutely flown home in each of their last two final quarters, team. It's pretty remarkable to see the numbers written out as well. They've conceded 65 points in the first three quarters of their last two games combined, and they've kicked that themselves while only conceding one goal in final quarters the last 2 weeks. It's allowed them to bank two really important wins as they come into a Western Derby. They've never beaten the Dockers before, 7 games in a row that the Dockers have won against them, but I think they win this week. The three things that I think are behind their final quarter wings, them flying home, pun, we got it there. Their ability to exit the backside of stoppage is really important. They're isolating their one-on-ones because they're getting into space to then send the ball forward in more efficient ways. And their contested marking is out of this world. They're averaging more contested marks in a game, 9.3, than any team ever has before. So that ability to compete in the air is really strong. Daisy Pearce said after the game last week that they know how to get back to the basics and they know what things they need to focus on. And these are three really key things that have come to the fore in final quarters. I've picked out one passage of play to talk about. It's because it's Charlotte Riggs' goal, but it does show a couple of these things. So we start with Bella Lewis at stoppage, that ability to win the footy in a 2-on-1 essentially, but then knows to move into space at the backside of stoppage instead of trying to move through the traffic. Then isolate one-on-ones ahead of the ball. You don't win that contested mark, but you're able to get again into space. Kayla Dalglish gets it up to Charlotte Riggs, who we know kicks this goal, but if you look ahead of the play for her, there are one-on-ones isolated inside 50. Earlier in games, it's a bit more congested. It's a bit harder to isolate those players. But in last quarters, what they've done really, really well is just find those one-on-ones and they back in their players to compete in the air. It's so, so important. And against Fremantle, this can really work for them. The one thing that we can't quantify, though, is belief. And it sounds silly, team, but the belief that Daisy Pearce gives them allows them to come into a last quarter and think, we can still do this. Team, tell me, what do you think belief is doing for them and how much does Daisy have to say about this sort of stuff?
Gemma, what a question, and how do you distill belief? I want to show this image from Coach Daisy Pearce's Instagram because I think it speaks to the impact she's had culturally at the club. You can see her daughter Sylvie there on Bella Lewis's lap. It's a beautiful image, and Daisy says how grateful she is. Eden, this is a woman you know very well. How much impact can one person have on a program? Because we feel like Daisy has completely changed the course of fortune for this side. Is that going over the top, or do you think that she is the one behind all of this?
Oh, no, for sure. There's definitely method behind the madness, and I feel like Daisy's showing that over at the West Coast. And, you know, we come back to that picture with Sylvie on Bella Lewis's lap. Like, we were involved so much with Sylvie and Roy when Days was at Melbourne, and yeah, just have that ability to have those guys in there and getting involved with the club. But yeah, Days, obviously used to be our captain, and she's such an empowering, resourceful woman, and she knows so much about footy, and her footy IQ is just so impactful. So yeah, I definitely don't think it's a coincidence that the Eagles have had such a surge this year in their wins.
You also said off camera that that ball movement, it looks a little bit familiar.
Yes, there is a bit of a tinge of Michael Senior in that ball movement, but yeah, she's gone really well over at the West Coast.
So just to finish up, Hawthorn and Adelaide, another massive game on Sunday, so make sure you are watching all of these incredible matches. Hawthorn, I mean, we're speaking about them ad nauseum at the moment because they are undefeated, but they're not playing the style that we've become accustomed to, and you've been able to distill something with the scoring profile of the team.
Yeah, it's very curious, the Hawks. They seem to have lost a bit of their run and gun game style. Their scoring has dropped by half year on year, which is extraordinary, and a lot of it, I think, is to do with the absence of two key players, Jasmine Fleming in the midfield and Aileen Gilroy up forward. Now, the pair of them are tests for this weekend against the Crows, and, you know, they provide so much space and speed on the outside that I think teams have really been latching onto Eliza West, shutting down that internal ball movement. And with no Jazz Fleming or Gilroy to break the lines, things have really broken down. So whether the addition of those two girls back in will right the ship a bit, we'll wait and see.
Sarah, thank you. Riles, as always,
you,
bringing plenty of news angles. And Eden, good luck this weekend against Port Adelaide. I mean, you're a forward, a midfielder. Where are you going to line up against the power?
Yeah, well, I did say before, hopefully a bit of a hybrid, but I find myself more as a key forward, and then give Kate a bit of a spell when she's a bit quick through the midfield.
Well, good luck this week, and remember there's plenty to tune into, so make sure you get your tickets and get down. We'll see you at the W.